It's hardly any surprise that almost all of the most iconic animals, both living and extinct, both were and still are gigantic. Tyrannosaurus rex is the largest land predator known to have ever lived, weighing as much as 12 tons, reaching lengths of over 13 metres. The blue whale is one of, if not the largest animals to have ever existed, period, reaching lengths of over 30 metres, weighing well over 200,000 kilograms, or 200 tons. The largest land animals on Earth today are the three species of elephants, two from Africa, one from Asia, with all three species each having a maximum weight of well over 5,000 kilograms. I could keep listing examples forever, but the point is, at least in pop culture, bigger is nearly always better. One animal, the subject of today's video, may hold one major title for size, that being the category for length. Supersaurus Vivianae is a relatively well-known sauropod dinosaur originating in the Morrison Formation. Supersaurus Vivianae was first discovered in 1972 in the centre of the Morrison Formation, specifically in the brushy basin member. The genus name Supersaurus translates to super lizard in Greek, reflecting the animal's massive size. And the specific or species name Vivianae reflects the animal's discoverer, Vivian Jones. Supersaurus as a genus has several synonyms, such as the once extremely popular Ultrasauros and the lesser known but equally incorrect Distillosaurus, with both genera being known from only several vertebrae, dated to the same time and found in the same place as Supersaurus. So you can probably see why they're synonymous. Supersaurus is a member of the family Diplodocidae and a member of the subfamily Diplodocinae. Its closest known relatives are the genera Galeomopus, Lane Culpa, and the very famous Diplodocus. Another pretty close relative of Supersaurus was Barosaurus lentus, also found in the Morrison Formation. Now, this is where we get into some controversy regarding one specimen that isn't definitively placed within either genera. Specimen BYU 9024 is a massive cervical vertebrae, which most likely belonged to a massive sauropod from the Morrison Formation. The bone itself measures 1.38 metres or 4 feet 6 inches in length, give or take a couple of centimetres, given the complexity of the bone. Depending on the placement of the neck vertebra on the neck of the animal itself could have been anywhere from 15.5 to 18.8 metres, which would correspond to an animal of about 40 to 50 metres in length, which would easily make this animal the longest to have ever existed, only being rivaled by Bruhathcaesaurus and the controversial Marapunisaurus. The question is, was this animal a Supersaurus or a Barosaurus? And this is a question that still needs to be answered. The general consensus is that this is a specimen belonging to Supersaurus Vivianae, not Barosaurus lentus. Though keep in mind this is only tentative, and it may very well not be a Supersaurus or Barosaurus. We just have to wait and see, really. Assuming BYU 9024 was indeed a Supersaurus and the estimate of 50 metres was indeed accurate, then the specimen would have reached a length nearly double that of an average blue whale, which only averages at around 25 metres. The creature would have been nearly 4 times the length of a T-Rex and nearly 30 times longer than a person is tall. As a result, it was essentially a small kaiju or titan. A Supersaurus Vivianae specimen of this length would have been anywhere from 57 to as much as 76 tons in weight, which is far from the heaviest dinosaur to ever exist, but it's still vastly larger than any land animal alive today. Although BYU 9024 was possibly the largest Supersaurus specimen we know of, it was far from the only individual to surpass the 30-metre mark. Another fragmentary specimen with the catalogue WDC DMJ021 is reported to have reached anywhere from 33 to 36 metres, being known from several cervical vertebrae, 2 leg bones, and several ribs. On average, Supersaurus Vivianae was one of only a handful of dinosaurs to have regularly surpassed a blue whale in length, and the only dinosaur known so far to have potentially crossed the 50-metre mark. A 2024 study found that a 33-metre long Diplodocus halorum specimen, which was a close relative of Supersaurus, had lived to an age of around 60 years old when it died, and it was still growing, although at a very slow rate. Meanwhile, the massive specimen mentioned earlier, the Jimbo specimen BYU9024, was way older than the Diplodocus, with the software the researchers used spitting out around 225 years as its age. However, this might be more reflective of the fact that the animal had long surpassed its growth rate, or it had stopped growing a long time ago before its death, rather than the animal actually being over 220 years old. Now, I could definitely keep talking about the many physical attributes of Supersaurus that made this animal so fascinating, but I don't want this episode to end up being 225 years long. So let's move on to the animal's environment. Supersaurus vivianae lived in the very late Jurassic period, around 153 to 145 million years ago, appearing in the early Kimmeridgian stage, going extinct at the end of the Jurassic in the Tithonian age. A full-grown, healthy Supersaurus specimen would have had no natural predators as an adult, with the largest predator in the Morrison Formation, Saurophaganax maximus, reaching only around 12.5% the mass, or roughly an eighth the size. Unless Saurophaganax, Torvosaurus, and Allosaurus all hunted in packs, each of these massive predators would have been strictly limited to younger specimens or sick and injured specimens. Supersaurus vivianae lived alongside a diverse array of sauropods, including some of the more famous ones such as Brachiosaurus, Diplodocus, Apatosaurus, Brontosaurus, Camarasaurus, and Barosaurus. Even if this came down to niche partitioning among larger sauropods, or if this is an example of sampling bias within the fossil record, the Morrison Formation was still definitely a land of giants, with some of the largest sauropods known to have ever existed living in the formation. The Morrison Formation experienced extreme seasonality with extremely harsh droughts during the winters, where the formation would have heavily resembled an arid scrubland, with dry forests and evaporated lakes and rivers being a very common sight. This is in direct contrast to the warmer, wetter summers, where the wet season allowed for vast grasslands and savannas to form, with some large forests even emerging. When it was alive, Supersaurus vivianae must have been an absolutely amazing sight. And even over 150 million years after its extinction, it's still fascinating. And one of my favourite sauropods. I hope you enjoyed this educational look into the longest vertebrate animal to have ever existed. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and enjoy the video. I'll see you next time.